Welcome in, everyone. This is your Chiefs pregame show. This is Kingdom Kickoff. I'm Noah Gronniger, being joined, as always, by former Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman, former KCTV5 Chiefs pregame host. That is Rich Baldinger and Clint Switzer. He is back from his trip to the Northeast. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Clint, welcome back. We missed you, my friend.
Thank you, guys. I sort of feel like the sports fan equivalent currently to Michael Douglas's character in Falling Down, but I'm getting over it. You know, a week off with some lighthouses and lobster is always good for the soul. Back from the Northeast and back here in the Midwest, ready to kick off this Chiefs-Eagles game here. And I tell you what, Rich, every week, you know, we have Kimball Anders and Donnell Bennett doing a show with us, and every week their backgrounds improve dramatically. They've got memorabilia behind them. They got Chief stuff everywhere. And every week, Rich, you look like you might still be, you know, kept up in some sort of closet. And I'm wondering, is it okay? Is everything okay? Do we need to send help?
Well, no, it's probably safer. I might be in that cell right now. This is where they lock me up and everything. So the house is safe this way. They keep me. I do need to work on the memorabilia. I probably have got a few things. You know, 13 years in the NFL, I should be able to find something I can hang up behind me and everything. But you know, being an offensive lineman, we tend to be kind of middle of the road. We don't go overboard and everything, but we're the wheels to make things happen. So I think people look at me and they probably go, yeah, it's okay. Just leave them alone. Don't ask them too many questions.
Well, Rich, we're ready to fire this thing up. Chiefs go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles here. Andy Reid seeking his 100th victory as coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a big one. Obviously, going back to Philly, where it all kind of started for him. The Eagles are kind of an enigma right now. I'm not sure really what to make of them. They're in the NFC East. They're 1-2. They don't run the ball particularly well, which is, of course, a huge deficiency for the Chiefs currently. Just kind of a big picture situation here, trying to go get Big Red this 100th victory. There's a lot on the line here. The Chiefs need to get right, and they need to get right in a hurry, my friend.
Well, I'm glad that Andy Reid got right in a hurry too. You know, last week not coming back. I think everybody was having heart palpitations last week. I mean, when he didn't come out. So knock on wood, things worked out. He's okay and everything. And so things going forward. So that's always good. Settle there. Let me begin with this. You know, no matter what, when you talk about the city of brotherly love, you have to begin with soft pretzels in Philadelphia. Now,
Philly
I did
cheesesteaks?
have some on the way back from the East Coast, so I feel good right now. So my hands are full of mustard and everything. So no matter what happens, when you have a soft pretzel in Philadelphia during the week, life's good. I mean, you move on everything, Clint. So one of these days, Clint, I'll lead you on this food expose across the country, depending on where
I'm in.
you're traveling to. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I did have a cheesesteak also.
Thank
too.
you.
So
I was going to say.
So, yeah, it's good. It's about 9 billion grams of cholesterol. But when you sit there and you eat one of those things, the sweat begins to happen. And you just sit there and it's just this euphoria that builds around you and everything. So, you know, the B-1 bomber coming over here, it just isn't the same as having a Pat's fully loaded cheesesteak. You know? So maybe next week I'll bring one of those on the air and I'll just eat it while you guys are talking. So people
I love it.
Yes. We've got some young people in certain situations, some injuries in Kansas City that cost us a rhythm we need to get into again, and understanding that this game is 60 minutes, that people are going to change, programs are going to get better. Players that understand that just walking on the field, even that we have this legendary guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, things are going to become more difficult. So there are areas we have to improve. Even watching the film, there were some things we did better. There's some things we still got to do a lot better. But, you know, it's you every week you've got to get ready to play quickly and bring it back quickly. And, you know, I would say one thing for the Chiefs, you know, you learn this. You have to learn this when you come in the National Football League. It'll drive you crazy. I remember a guy for the Giants by the name of Gordon King. He told me, he was the offensive tackle for the New York Giants for many years. And he said, Richard, if you think past the moment that you're in, he goes, you will definitely be falling behind that moment. And it's simple. It's a little cliche, but so many things happening, so many things that are outside of your control. Just take care of what you got and you'll be okay. And I think that's one of the issues for the Chiefs. Just thinking about too many things more than just that moment, you'll be okay. Well, that's my rant after my cheesesteak. Yeah, I'm done for the morning, guys. Go for it.
We love it. Well, coming into this year, Patrick Mahomes had not lost in September, had not thrown an interception in September. Now he's lost 2. He threw an interception against Baltimore, threw 2 interceptions against the Chargers. Just if this team didn't turn the ball over, they would be 3-0. Instead, they're 1-2, not being able to close out these games because of those turnovers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had another fumble. Tyreek Hill had a fumble. Mahomes with 2 interceptions. What are we seeing in this team, and can they stop turning the ball over so that we can get on the plus side of this and start winning some football games?
It's all about focus. Again, when you're trying to change, you feel like frustration and maybe things aren't going as, you know, it seems like in the past it'd be a walk in the park for them coming to the field. This offense would just click and then it was just obliteration of a defense. Things just aren't working out the same. So you feel the frustration. Athletes tend to be the most paranoid people in the world. So you start trying to do little things more than what you did in the past. But, you know, we made mistakes. Kemp's in the red zone, wide receiver. He tips the ball when he should have caught the football. You know, at the end, Pringle doesn't reach across the middle when that ball's thrown. Maybe that's a catch. Tyreek missed one. So a lot of little things, you add them up. You know, Marty Schottenheim always said, you never need a team meeting. All you need to do is watch in the film and count how many negative plays you have. Take care of your negative plays, and the team will take care of itself. And I've been through many of those team meetings, frustration, people would talk, and I'm like, yep, and every one of us did mistakes. Get rid of your mistakes, and you'll win football games. And Chiefs, I think, will understand that. Patrick Mahomes brought one thing here about this team that I love. They did not find ways to lose games. They overcame that. Think how many games with Alex Smith, and before that, when Dick Vermeil was here, it was always something we would do at the end, a mistake, something that would prove costly. Patrick as a quarterback just didn't do that. First couple weeks, we're having some issues. Hopefully, we find a way that say, okay, the past is past. Let's go forward. Let's take care of our next opponent and put this thing back on a winning track.
Well, I mentioned Philadelphia being kind of an enigma. What's kind of their recipe today to give the Chiefs further problems? You know, the Chiefs come in as a 7-point favorite. Rich, they haven't covered in about a year. Not that NFL coaches or players are out there to placate people's gambling addictions, but what's Philadelphia's recipe here? Jalen Hurts is the team's leading rusher right now. Is that what this is going to be? We saw Lamar Jackson, of course, hurt this team with his legs in week 2. They don't really have a good stable of running backs right now and kind of a no-name receiving core. And Hurts has proven to be somewhat erratic when he's throwing the ball. So what is the recipe for them? Is this one of those deals where they're looking to get right by going against the league's worst rush defense? What gives here?
Well, I think, first of all, you look at the defense from last week. Let's look at the number one thing that they did do well. They came out with an attitude. I mean, they were talking about it on TV. This was a different team. They came out and they were plugging holes. They were going and attacking people, coming off the ball, all the little things you want to see. Hey, you got to be, this is a game of attitude. Either you bring it or you don't, and so you got to start there. So credit to the defense there on that. Yeah, you're right on Philadelphia. And plus now this week, I think Lane Johnson is out. Both their starting tackles are out. They got 3 starters are out. So they're going to have a mixed bag at the offensive line. So I want to see Chiefs do one thing. I want to see them carry over what they did. Defensive red zone, we've got to find a way to mix it up. I mean, Coach Spagnuolo, listen, if it means start changing where we put people on blitzes or angle charges, something different, so when we're backing up, it confuses offenses, so it's just not a walk in the park. I think we're the worst now. What are we averaging? 31 points a game defensively, but they're scoring every time in the red zone. You've got to change that. You got to find a way to create some type of turnover or make touchdowns in the field goals so you limit the points. So, you got to improve on that. The other thing is, too, what upset me, we had one last week, 1 sack against an offensive line. You have a rookie left tackle and a backup at right tackle that really maybe should be serving cheesesteaks in Philadelphia instead of playing right tackle in the National Football League. Storm Norton. But we didn't take advantage of it. And that's also coaching. I think when you get a guy like today, you're going to have 2 backup tackles in Philadelphia. Go pick on them. Start running blitzes. Move personnel around. Make them start thinking because they haven't been out there in the field. So let's challenge them and everything. Got to get out the quarterback. And I know we have 8 sacks on the year, which is near, but I want to be in the backfield because we can't win with our front 4 right now. Frank Clark's out, I guess, again. Am I correct on that? His injury and everything. So the front 4 hasn't been a dynamic force. It just hasn't been, but we can bring people. We have people that blitz well. Let's get on the other side. Let's bring the pressure, and let's force guys like Jalen Hurts to have to make some big throws. I know Herbert made some last week, but again, I'm under the mindset, guys, I know there's good quarterbacks, but when you pressure them and you make them move their feet and maybe they don't get proper fundamentals, you have a chance to make a play. And it all works with coverage and everything. So let's see if we make some of those changes this week and come out and do something because this is a team that's definitely not firing on all cylinders, Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni knows he's got some issues, but let's take advantage of it and not create our own mistakes and let them be in the game here at the end and win this thing.
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned some of the injuries, some of the people that are going to be inactive. So I want to take a look at the Chiefs and Eagles inactives for this week. And you mentioned Frank Clark. Charvarius Ward is out again with his hamstring. Rashad Fenton hasn't come back out of concussion protocol. And you mentioned on the other side, the Eagles missing their 2 offensive tackles. And so Andre Dillard will be filling in for Jordan Mailata on the left side, and Jack Driscoll will be filling in on the right side. So what do you see in that right side, Jack Driscoll versus Chris Jones, and how Chris Jones, if he's going to be the defensive end that the Chiefs want him to be, he's really got to start taking advantage of some of these matchups. Last week, he didn't really do it versus Storm Norton. This week, he gets Jack Driscoll, and he's got to take advantage of it.
Well, and I think some of this is also play calling. Last year or since he's been here, Chris Jones, you can turn the film on, and there are times when they would let him freelance. He would get the green light. You know what, bud? He's lined up on a wide 3 technique, and he would jump inside the guard. The thing about Chris Jones, this is a 6'6", 300-pound man that plays with incredible quickness and power. I think this year, being in a defensive end position, they're not letting him do some of those things he does well. They're trying to keep him in that box. Like I'm in right now, the box. And this is the type of guy you just got to let go sometimes because he's so dynamic of a force. Personally, I don't like him at defensive end all the time. I want him inside. But right now, with the depth and the issues we're having on the defensive line, he's going to have to be out there. So let's let him freelance. Let's let him do some things out there. I think he'll find it, cover for him, because he's the type of guy, as a former lineman will tell you, that absolutely drive me nuts, because you play for power and he brings speed and quickness. You play for speed and quickness and he runs you right to the back of the quarterback. So a dynamic force, but I don't know if we're letting him do all the things he's done in the past. That's been the difference maker, because you go back here, since he's been here, he has been a guy. When you had to have a play, when you had to have something, the numbers weren't good, Chris Jones would show up and make something happen. You haven't seen that since first week against Cleveland. So I'm hoping now this week they let him go some more. Let him freelance. Let him be the player that he is, because he's too good of an athlete.
Rich, I want to go a little bigger picture here. When you look at this season and the AFC, to me, this is becoming a very crowded conference. And for the Chiefs, it's been teams drafting for 3 years to try to combat what they're doing. When you're the Chiefs and you've been where they've been, 3 straight AFC championship games at Arrowhead Stadium, there's nowhere really to go but down, while other teams are drafting and getting better. We see it in the AFC West right now, man. You've got the Raiders and Broncos are 3-0. We look around the rest of the AFC, the teams like the Browns, the Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals look like they may actually be able to put something together here. For the Chiefs, is this a case of their biggest issue right now is the fact that this conference is getting really crowded in a hurry, and that obviously there's a long season to go. We got plenty of time to get this thing back on track, but man, there's a lot of teams playing really good football right now, and the Chiefs are going to be able to play all of them. We still got the Bills on the schedule, the Titans, all the rest of the division, man. There's a lot of football to go, but this conference is crowded.
Oh, it is. There's no question about it. And give credit to all those other programs in the AFC West. Every NFL team's got better. John Gruden in his 4th year. And that's the magic number. It seems like whenever a coach has been in the National Football League, it takes you that long to cycle in what quarterback, what program, line play, everybody on the same level. You're dealing with a lot of egos, and there's just no way of speeding up. But yet you see, like with the Chargers, finally got quarterback build around. Who's the key player for the Chargers this year in offense? Mike Williams, healthy.
Yeah.
You saw what he can do at wide receiver, short throw, deep pass, such a big body. He's going to be a nightmare for the Chiefs. And, for the Chiefs on our side, you look at injuries. And now this is a side of the ball we're going to have to look at during the season. I think it's going to be a rotating door there, bringing people in. But Charvarius Ward out again. Here's a guy that showed me, since he's been coming to the National Football League, is able to run with receivers. Didn't have that last week, and it cost us at the end of the game. So, some question marks, but you got to find a way. This is a team. You don't have the luxury of just bringing new players in every week. So Chiefs are going to have to get better, but we know next year in the offseason, this is where all the money's going. And every component of that defense, from the secondary to the linebackers to up front, you've got to have that rotation of players on that D-line. Some guys there I don't think are playing as well as they should be. Derek Nottie, I think, hasn't done where I thought he would be. So it's a mixed bag, and this is where for Brett Veach, it is definitely going to be a challenge this year in terms of money spent, where the cap's going to be, what you're going to do, what can you hold on to offensively, but yet some changes are going to have to be made there on that side of the ball, because wherever you end up this year, that all the other teams have raised their level of performance. Chiefs are going to have to raise theirs drastically on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and let's talk about what the Chiefs will be facing against that Eagles defensive line. Brandon Graham, their premier pass rushers, on IR for them. But the Eagles have 7 sacks this season, but Javon Hargrave, a name that maybe people don't know, has 4 of those, along with 6 quarterback hits from the left defensive tackle spot. So Trey Smith will have his hands full. And then they have some capable defensive line: Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat. What do you see in that Eagles defensive line that's going to give the Chiefs some problems up front?
Well, Hargrave and Fletcher Cox, 2 guys. Fletcher Cox is just a mountain of a man. He's
been around forever.
And he's as wide as an 18-wheeler, so you can't miss the guy. His body's just in the way. So is always a force. Hargrave's another smart guy, a guy who knows how to use speed and power. And you talk about Trey Smith. Here's a guy last week. You break down the film and you turn on someone. We were talking, texting back and forth after the game. And you look at Trey Smith, and man, that sometimes, you got to love this guy's nastiness. He comes off the ball, and if he can roll people up, he is going to make you hit the back of your head every time. He comes off with some nastiness, which I love. but he's got to learn how to channel that energy when you're in pass protection. You play against a guy like Boza and you attack the wrong way, he's going to make you look funny, and he did. So I think some of that youth in that offensive line for the Chiefs got to figure this out, that, you know what, control the moment, then you can exert the force. If you go out to somebody and you're not in a controlling position, they are going to embarrass you real quick. So we need to get better. I was going to ask, is Orlando Brown going for the Chiefs? I saw that he missed some practices this week too.
He's good to go. Yeah.
So, you know, I think overall there were some good things. There were some bad things we did overall. But, you know, when you turn the football over and it leads to 14 points for the opponents, it takes away from that momentum. So that's going to be for the challenge for the Chiefs this week. You know, don't go outside the moment. Take care of what you have to, but functionally do it right. You know, Marty Schottenheimer was the greatest on this. And I remember him coming in, and one of the first things he did for us was he made us take a 3x5 card at the end of practice and write down 2 negative things that you did. And you come in the next day, take care of those 2 negative things. Worry about nothing else but those 2 things. And he was about that. Play smart football from a fundamental and a knowledge of the game, and you will be a better athlete. And it was true. So that's where I see sometimes the Chief players, they just put themselves in a bad position. And believe me, in this game, if you're not put yourself in the right position, there's no guarantee that you're going to win with that. But if you're in the wrong position, you're going to look silly. And that's what's happened to the Chiefs here at the end. Some big plays. We talked about the Baltimore game. You know, at the end of the second quarter, it's 1st and 25, and we don't get to the gap when we need to, and they run an inside running play and get 22 yards and end up kicking a field goal, which proved to be costly again. So that's my thing right now for the Chiefs. Play smart. Let's just play smart football, and we'll take care of business and get back on the winning track.
Well, we see this where we have a user that said bad drafts and signings are coming back to haunt Kansas City. I want to kind of get into that just a little bit, Rich, as far as Brett Veach and some of these drafts. As I look at it and I'm kind of breaking down the drafts he's had here in Kansas City, I think this year in 2021 might be the best draft he's had. When you look at Nick Bolton, the way he's come in, started, and the way he's played.
He's played well, and he played better in the game. He did play better, filled better, run fits were better. So, you know, his eyes are understanding the game more. Believe me, guys, when you go out there as a rookie, I don't care how good of an athlete you are. There's only been one guy that walked in as a rookie and was a force that nobody could understand, still was Lawrence Taylor. But there's only one of those guys in the National Football League, so whatever. So it's something. So, but go ahead, though, Clint. You're making a good point. I just think some of the young guys, it just takes time, because remember, in camp, you're so limited, too. You're limited, and you can talk all you want, show things up on a chalkboard, but until you go out in the field and actually do it live with pads on, sometimes it just takes a while to get in a rhythm.
Time is absolutely a factor. But you look at the fact that this team has traded away first-round picks for guys like Frank Clark. You look at some of the second-round picks haven't really worked out. Going back to Breland Speaks, we look at McCole Hardman, Willie Gay can't get on the field. McCole Hardman,
Juan Thornhill can't get on the field.
Have not established themselves as as reliable players right now. To me, the 2021 draft with Bolton, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, those 3 players make this maybe Veach's best draft, which isn't really fair to, analyze too deeply a draft class 4 weeks into the season. But that kind of speaks to some of these previous wins. Maybe it is starting to catch up with this team a little bit, not having some first round picks in there, trading away for talent. We didn't have one, this year for Orlando Brown, traded away for Frank Clark. That's not really working out.
Jaron Reed in there this week too. I thought this was a guy that was going to come in and be a force at that defensive tackle position, Alabama guy. And you're thinking this is a guy that's going to understand it, but yet you haven't seen the level. Frank Clark, I agree with you. Injuries, hopefully we cut the pipeline to Seattle. But
unless DK Metcalf wants to come over.
The issues with Frank Clark and off-season issues that he's had that, are they wearing on him? And again, health-wise and everything. So, when you strike out on some draft, but again, the focus has been on offense on this team, and this is where now this year in the offseason. So you're hoping what we have is enough, but I'm not sure. When you lose a guy like Charvarius Ward, his ability on the outside, it tends to be issues for you. But the one thing you have to know, guys, it's a glove in hand in terms of if you do not have pressure up front, if you cannot in terms make a quarterback alter his throw or timing, no matter who you have back there in coverage, it's just not going to matter. You are going to eventually break down. I think we've seen that for the Chiefs here a couple weeks in a row.
Yeah, and I want to move to the offensive side of the ball for the Chiefs. They bring in Josh Gordon this week. He was just reinstated by the NFL for
How many
the
times is this for him now?
20, I think, 20, 25.
Yeah, I mean, how many times has he been suspended? I mean, it's
This is
like
a
5 or
nation.
6.
This is a nation of 10th chances, Rich. Come on.
Yes, you are correct. And
But they're saying he could be ready for the Bills game, and he arrived in incredible shape. He's got 7% body fat, 230 pounds, 6'3". I've wanted a big physical target and receiver for Mahomes, and this could be the guy.
well, when you take Sammy Watkins out of the picture and everything, guy, no matter even all of his injuries, he still went across the middle and caught the football for you. And that was a guy that we haven't had this week. I think there's just so many different ways. I think what the Chiefs are finding out offensively is, listen, they're going to play that layer defense. They're going to drop people off. The safeties are going to be off the TV screen. They're so deep. They're just not going to give you that ability just to go vertical that easily with the ball. So, Chiefs, we've got the 4 tight end look. The thing about our skill people that I think you're going to take advantage of, which is different than anybody else. You take like the Chargers. You don't see a Mike Williams lining up in a slot, tailback position, doing jet sweeps like we can do with Tyreek Hill. I just think our skill people, you take a look at Kelsey. You can put him as a tailback and, run in the Wildcat offense. There's just so many different ways we can do, and that's where Andy's going to have to start being creative, and it's going to be a challenge that maybe this offense isn't as wide open as it used to be. People are in different ways, but that's what you're going to have to do to combat what defenses are doing, because believe me, there's no way anybody wants to cover one-on-one with Kelsey coming off the ball. There's nobody can cover him. There's nobody can run with Tyreek Hill. Absolutely nobody. So they're going to design ways to bracket people, put people underneath, take away those easy throws. They're going to force the Chiefs to do different things. Let's see what happens this week in terms of what we do with our components of offense, where we put them, how we put them into place. Because you got to credit, that's the one thing Andy does better than any coach in the National Football League. Takes his players, puts them in position to make big plays. Not just a play, but a big play.
Well, guys, as we're getting close to kickoff here, we got to get to our Baldy's keys to victory, my favorite part each week. And this is the thing that I mark down, and I make sure that I let him know when he doesn't hit on these, and we just got to let him know when he doesn't. This is my favorite part. That Rich, keys to victory today, Chiefs Eagles.
Well, let's just start on the offensive side of the ball. Let's just focus on the present. I mean, as I said, this is what the issue is for the Chiefs. When you make those type of mistakes, you're thinking about other things. You're trying to make other things going. You're not taking care of the fundamentals, where you hold the football, steps, hat placements. That's what they need to do. That will eliminate the turnovers. Then you are not battling against yourself. Turnovers put you in a war against your internal self, which it's tough enough to battle your opponent. Don't make it also a war among yourself in terms of confidence. On the defense, for me, guys, it's all about intensity for 60 minutes. You saw it last week, came out, attacked the line of scrimmage, did some things, took away the run, but yet had the lead in the fourth quarter, and we gave it away again. Why? Because of coverage. We didn't get the pressure where we needed to be. We didn't get on the blitz where we need to be. So you got to play for 60 minutes. Do the right thing for 60 minutes, and guess what? You will come away with victory when you need to. Hopefully the Chiefs have learned that and be able to take the step forward and go back to the Super Bowl winning team that they are. And that should have been 3 Super Bowls they should have been to, right, guys?
You are correct.
Our old friend Steven Nelson is with the Philadelphia Eagles at corner, so we're going to be able to face him, hopefully be able to pick on him, because Darius Slay's at the other corner. He's a proven top corner in the league, so I look for them to pick on Steven Nelson today.
Prediction time, guys. The Chiefs have not covered a spread. I talked about since last November against the New York Jets. Today it happens. I got the Chiefs 34-20, really exerting themselves offensively against this Eagles defense, and coming up with key stops, creating some turnovers, and getting back on the winning track. And I think that's what's important for this team, is to be focused and to be a more serious football team, eliminate the mistakes, the turnovers, and get back to where you need to be. Because next week the Buffalo Bills come to town, and that's going to really could help impact where this season goes from here. So I got the Chiefs 34-20. Noah.
Well, let's see here. We were all on the Chiefs to beat the Ravens. We were all on the Chiefs to beat the Chargers. The only week the Chiefs won, we had one of us go astray, go off the deep end and pick the Browns. So I'm going Eagles 31-30. They come out with the victory in the link, and I'm only doing it so that the Chiefs can sneak away with that win because I'm superstitious, and I think we may be the secret ingredient here. So I'm going to go off the reservation and pick the Eagles to win 31-30. What say you, Rich?
Well, was in New Jersey, had 2 cheesesteaks, had a couple soft pretzels, so I feel good right now, man. I've got the energy, I got the mojo. I'm passing that on to the players. I think this team, when you have a quarterback of what Patrick Mahomes does, and again, I think, a guy that played quarterback for me and Steve the Bird had always told me, don't tell me about throwing the football, don't tell me about running the football. Can the guy get the team on the field to do the right thing? Can they get where they need to be? Do they believe in what that quarterback says? And there's nobody better than Patrick doing that for this team. I'm sorry, I'm going back with the Chiefs. I think they do the right thing. I think that Nick Sirianni's team, there's not going to be any brotherly love from the Chiefs today on this one. I'm sorry. I'm going to take the Chiefs on this one, 38-17. I think they explode. I think they take care of the turnovers because Andy Reid knows what he's got coming in Buffalo. This sets the precedent right now. Look for a big Sunday afternoon for Kansas City.
And that means a terrible afternoon for Rocky Balboa and the fans of the Rocky films. Guys, Kingdom Kickoff, it's always a pleasure. Powered by Starcade Media, as always. Rich, we always love doing it. Let's go out there. You've already had enough food, so don't worry about your pregame meal. No and I, we got to catch up though, man. So enjoy it, guys. Kingdom Kickoff, let's hit it. Chiefs and Eagles, it's kicking off here at the top of the hour. Enjoy it, guys.
Have a great day, guys. Talk to you afterwards.
You too. Work on that halftime meal now. We'll catch you later. Till next time, this is Kingdom Kickoff.